Let me ask you a question. Have you ever met someone who always has to be the loudest in the room, who thrives on tearing others down just to feel taller themselves? You know the type? Charming on the surface, but underneath it's all about them. Here's the truth: narcissists may look like they're winning in the short term. They may appear powerful, confident, untouchable. But let me tell you something eventually. That mask always cracks. Narcissists often appear to be unstoppable in the beginning. They come across as confident, magnetic, and full of energy. People are drawn to them because they know how to charm, how to shine, and how to make others believe they have it all figured out. This is the short-term illusion. It works for a while because surface-level confidence can trick others into mistaking arrogance for strength and manipulation for leadership. But life doesn't measure success in short bursts. Life is a long game, and the long game reveals the truth. Eventually, that facade begins to crumble because it's built on shaky ground. Real power isn't about control, it's about connection. Real leadership isn't about domination, it's about influence and contribution. When a narcissist only takes and never gives, sooner or later people catch on. Think about it like building a house on sand. For a moment, it looks perfect. It might even look like a mansion from the outside. But when the storms of life come, and they always come, that house doesn't stand. Why? Because the foundation was never strong. That's what happens to narcissists. Their success is built on a foundation of ego, and ego is one of the weakest foundations you can have. When challenges, failures, or losses hit, they have nothing deeper to hold on to. No genuine connections, no true loyalty, no inner strength. They are left exposed. In contrast, people who play the long game, the ones who build on authenticity, humility, and contribution, may not rise as quickly, but they rise steadily. And when storms come, they endure. The difference is that the narcissist is always performing for approval, while the authentic person is building for impact. Approval fades, impact lasts. That's why narcissists end up facing emptiness, while authentic people end up with fulfillment. This key point teaches us that short-term illusions are seductive, but they always collapse. We shouldn't be fooled by the surface shine of people who seem to be winning right now by playing selfishly. Instead, we should focus on our own foundation. Are we building on ego or on authenticity? Are we chasing attention or creating value? The truth is, life doesn't hand out rewards for the fastest sprint. It rewards those who stay consistent, those who play the marathon with integrity. Narcissists may look like they're ahead for a while, but eventually the illusion breaks and the long-term reality catches up with them. One of the biggest costs a narcissist pays in life is the destruction of their own relationships. At first, their charm can win people over. They know how to present themselves in a way that looks appealing, almost irresistible. But over time, the truth always surfaces. Narcissists operate in a way where they see people as tools rather than partners, as stepping stones rather than teammates. Every relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, becomes transactional to them. They give just enough to keep someone around, but their main focus is always on what they can extract. The problem is, people eventually recognize this pattern. Trust begins to fade, and once trust is gone, relationships crumble. When someone constantly takes without genuinely giving, resentment builds in the people around them. Friends grow distant, colleagues become cautious, family members feel drained. A narcissist can't sustain intimacy because intimacy requires vulnerability, honesty, all things that threaten their fragile ego. So, rather than risk being seen as imperfect, they keep relationships shallow, manipulative, and one-sided. That strategy might work temporarily, but it comes at a long-term cost: loneliness. Human beings are wired for connection. True success, joy, and fulfillment don't come from achievements or possessions. They come from meaningful bonds with others. Narcissists break those bonds over and over again until the day comes when they look around and realize they are surrounded by people who either fear them, tolerate them, or have already left. The tragedy is that narcissists often don't notice this cost until it's too late. In their drive to control, to dominate, or to always be right, they miss the fact that every bridge they burn is another piece of their future collapsing. They might hold positions of power, but they lack real allies. They might be admired from afar, but they are rarely loved up close. And when challenges hit, because no one escapes struggle in life, they find themselves without a genuine support system. This key point reveals a powerful truth. Relationships are the ultimate wealth. Without trust, without respect, without love, no level of external success can fill the void. Narcissists eventually pay the price for burning bridges, and that price is isolation. For the rest of us, it's a reminder to nurture our connections, to give as much as we take, and to build relationships that stand the test of time. On the surface, a narcissist can look like they're winning. They chase status, recognition, money, or power, and for a while, they might achieve it. They might have the corner office, the applause, or the appearance of success. But deep down, their victories are hollow. Why? Because their achievements are not rooted in genuine passion, purpose, or contribution. They are chasing validation, not fulfillment. Validation feels good in the moment. Like sugar, it gives a quick high, but it doesn't last. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is like real nourishment. It sustains you. And that's the difference between authentic success and a narcissist's empty victories. When someone achieves something for the sake of ego, they constantly need more to feel satisfied. They win one award, and instantly they need another. They gain one follower, and now they crave 10 more. Nothing is ever enough. The finish line keeps moving, and instead of celebrating progress, they live in a constant state of hunger for more recognition. That endless craving creates stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. They may look powerful on the outside, but on the inside, they're restless and hollow. Fulfillment comes from a different place. It comes from knowing that what you do matters, that your work touches lives, that your presence uplifts others. It comes from love, growth, and contribution, the very things narcissists resist. Because their focus is self-centered, they miss out on the deep satisfaction of serving something greater than themselves. They chase external trophies but neglect internal peace. Over time, this gap widens, and even when they appear successful, they feel empty. The tragedy is that many narcissists don't realize the emptiness until later in life. They spend years building an image, fighting for validation, and performing for approval. Then one day, they look back and see that the applause has faded, the spotlight has moved on, and the achievements they once glorified don't bring them any joy. They sacrifice true fulfillment for temporary validation. This teaches us a powerful lesson: never confuse attention with impact, and never confuse recognition with meaning. A life built on external validation will always leave you hungry, but a life built on growth, love, and contribution will leave you fulfilled. Narcissists end up with empty victories, but you can choose the path of fulfillment by focusing on what lasts, not just what shines. Life has a way of balancing the scales. For a while, it may look like narcissists are ahead. They dominate conversations, manipulate situations, and push themselves into positions of power. But here's the truth. Life doesn't ultimately reward ego, it rewards authenticity. Ego can win short-term battles, but authenticity wins the long game. When someone operates from ego, their energy is focused on self-preservation, image control, and manipulation. That drains them and alienates others. Authentic people, on the other hand, operate from truth. They may not rise as quickly, but the foundation they build is solid, and over time, they gain something far more valuable than recognition. They gain trust, respect, and loyalty. Think about it this way: ego builds walls, but authenticity builds bridges. Narcissists may get people to obey or admire them temporarily, but obedience without respect is fragile, and admiration without trust is shallow. As soon as circumstances change, those walls they built to protect themselves collapse, and they find themselves standing alone. Authentic people, by contrast, create bonds that last through storms. Their relationships are not based on fear or manipulation, but on honesty and connection. When challenges come, people rally around them instead of running away. Life has natural laws just like gravity. One of those laws is that what you give out eventually comes back to you. Narcissists give out manipulation, control, and ego, and eventually they receive the same in return. They find themselves trapped in circles where everyone plays the same game and no one can be trusted. Authentic people, however, give out kindness, integrity, and contribution, and life rewards them by surrounding them with opportunities, allies, and fulfillment. This is why you see leaders who rise through authenticity create lasting impact, while those who rise through ego fade away once their mask is revealed. History is full of examples of both, and in our own lives we can see it play out daily. You don't need to manipulate to win. You don't need to control to succeed. In fact, the greatest strength is vulnerability, and the greatest power is authenticity. The lesson here is clear: ego might get you attention, but authenticity earns you legacy. Narcissists end up exhausted and isolated because they bet on the wrong strategy. But those who choose authenticity end up with peace, love, and a life that matters, not just to themselves, but to everyone they touch. At the end of the day, the story of a narcissist is not really about them. It's about the choices we make for ourselves. Narcissists end up trapped in their own patterns because they keep choosing ego over growth, manipulation over honesty, and attention over impact. But you are not bound to that path. Every single moment, you have the power to choose differently. That's what makes the human experience extraordinary. We are not fixed. We are not stuck. We are not destined to repeat the mistakes of others. Our future is built by the choices we make today. When you choose authenticity over ego, you create relationships that last. When you choose compassion over control, you build loyalty instead of fear. When you choose contribution over attention, you gain fulfillment instead of emptiness. It might not bring the quick hits of validation that narcissists chase, but it gives you something far greater: peace of mind, real connection, and a sense of purpose that can't be taken away. That's a life worth building. The danger of focusing on narcissists is that it can distract us from looking at ourselves. It's easy to point fingers and say, look how they ended up. But the more important question is, where am I headed? Are we building bridges or burning them? Are we chasing validation or living with intention? Are we serving ourselves or contributing to something bigger? The answers to these questions shape our destiny.